swimming with sharks, a huge party on Fire Island, and ceviche on the beach at sunset. This week, it's Kira Cook from Islands Without Cars.
Traveling the world to bring you delicious dishes, tasty beverages, and interesting experiences. This is the Destination Eat Drink Podcast on the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
I'm Brent Peterson. Welcome to Destination Eat Drink, the travel podcast for foodies. This is where food and travel, two of life's great pleasures, come together. Today I'm talking with Kira Cook, actress and host of the TV show Islands Without Cars. But first, if you like Destination Eat Drink, please rate and review the podcast and give up those 5 stars. And if you like, please consider contributing to Destination Eat Drink with a one-time or recurring cash gift at buymeacoffee.com/Destination Eat Drink. And thank you very much. Kira Cook got her start as a child actress in the hit movie Matilda. Now, all grown up with a family of her own, Kira is the star of the PBS series Islands Without Cars. The 3rd season is out now, and Kira and I talk about islands in Mexico, Greece, and California, all of them car-free. Plus, Kira talks about some of the best food she's had on those islands and life-changing experiences while filming. Okay, I'm starving, so let's eat.
Destination Eat Drink.
Kira Cook from Islands Without Cars. Welcome back to Destination Eat Drink. It's great to have you back on the show.
Thank you for having me back. Good to be here.
I think the name of the show, Islands Without Cars, is pretty self-explanatory, but for people who haven't seen the show, how would you describe it?
I would describe it as a sort of jaunt back in time. We go to islands that prohibit any sort of modern transport. So on these islands, the requisite is that there's, no cars, obviously, but also really no trains or buses. People mostly get around, depending on the island, by bicycle, horse, donkey. On a couple of them, it's a little loosey-goosey, like Catalina Island has a lot of electric golf carts. So, that made the pass. And, Helgoland in Germany has an electric bus that they take people from the port to the town. But really, the islands are not... The infrastructure is not set up to have modern transport. So it really feels when you're walking around these places as though you're back in time to a much, simpler, less polluted time.
I feel a real affinity for Islands Without Cars because when we moved to Portugal a couple of years ago, we sold our car in the U.S. And for the first time in my adult life, I'm completely without a car. So we get around sometimes by bus or sometimes by train, but mostly by walking. Just walking everywhere. So I love watching this show, and I wanted to start this conversation talking about a place that you guys visited called Ceviche Island in Mexico. Could you describe where this place is and how you get there?
It's just it's very near like Tulum. It's on the east coast of Mexico, and you fly into Cancun, and it's about a 2-hour, very bumpy, intense van or car ride, really through like a very kind of unpaved roads. And then you get to a port, and you take like a 20-minute ferry over to Holbox, and that's really one of the most magical places we've been. I was surprised how much I loved it. I think perhaps because I've only been to Mexico like two or three times before this trip, and I've gotten sick every time, and it's sort of colored the experience. And none of us got sick on this trip, and it is on top of that just the most stunningly beautiful place. There are some like golf carts. There are a couple golf carts in the main town to help you get to the outer reaches of the island, because the problem is the downtown of Holbox is not paved, it's all sand. So when it rains, which it does very often because it's a tropical island, it gets pounded with rain, and then the sand kind of turns into this muddy texture because it's also mixing with all of the building materials. because they're also developing quite quickly. And that's the sad aspect of Holbox, but also what is bringing a lot of attention and money to the island and to the people that live there. But because of that, it's a strange confluence of like, some cement and building materials and sand and water that makes it like this crazy, sticky, muddy texture in the downtown. So, everybody said, don't bring any nice shoes. So you don't bring nice shoes, just bring kind of whatever sandals, because by the end of the day, you're up to your, ankles is like this muddy texture, but you kind of give over to it. It's like just walking through mud. It's kind of fun. And then it dries, and if there's some dry days, then it kind of goes back to sand mostly. But because of that, because of getting all the building materials around, there are some types of cars. But of course, as in every island that we've gone to, the locals hate it, don't, want to get rid of it. Too many cars, too many. Whereas to anyone else who is going to this island, it's like, oh, there's maybe, 20 or something waiting at the downtown area. And it's you don't really take them unless you have to go to the other side of the island. Everything is very walkable. And that's the pleasure of the island, is to use your legs and smell the beautiful ocean air and explore without, having to be within the confines of traffic.
So I guess Holbox Island couldn't be further away, not only physically distance-wise, a couple hours, but, culturally, psychologically, from a resort standpoint, pretty cool sounding. In this episode, you go out and you swim with sharks, and God bless you, not something that I'm going to do anytime soon, but tell me what that was like.
I have to say, it counts as one of the top most memorable, exhilarating, extraordinarily special experiences of my life. And I wear a whale shark necklace to this day, every single day, because of that experience. I bought it from a jeweler on the island, and every day I get to look down, and, my kids play with it every day, and they whisper shark when they touch my necklace. They think it's so cool that I did that. You couldn't have picked a less intimidating shark to swim with, I will say. They are absolutely enormous. They grow up to 40 feet long. They're massive. Their mouths are massive, but they don't really, they're incredibly docile creatures. They're fast, and they eat plankton and sometimes very small fish. And though they have thousands of teeth in their mouth, they're very tiny, and it's basically, harmless to, they're not sharp teeth. They're not great white shark teeth. They're gentle giants, basically, of the sea. And so basically what happens is you go on a boat and they take you, an hour or two. It's quite a long ride out to where they are. And they have somehow they know where they are. Signals, sonar science. And they take you right to where they are. And then it's quick. So it's like, okay, here they come, because they are fast. So if you want to swim alongside them, it's a hard job to kind of catch them. So it's like, okay, go. And then you jump in the water. And you're told, you're not to touch them, and you're not to get too close. You have to keep, because of preservation methods, you have to keep, I think it was like a 3 to 6 feet, I think, at least distance from them, to give them their space, which is not hard because they're so fast. So I jumped in, and the way that the incredible guy who was running the boat positioned me and told me where to jump from, I was face to face with this absolutely massive whale shark.
Whoa.
It really, like, my breath caught under, within my snorkel mask, and an involuntary sob came out, because it was like, whoa, I have never been this close in nature to, and I've always loved snorkeling. I grew up with parents who were scuba divers, so that's been something that was really present in my childhood. We took a lot of vacations to places where we could snorkel, and I love being underwater. I'm very comfortable in the ocean, but there are people who are not, and I get it, I suppose, but to me, there's nothing more magical than, swimming in the ocean. And to be face to face with a creature that normally, you never would have come across in a human lifetime. It was magical. I don't know. I was like face to face with his enormous eye and his big wide mouth. And I kind of like let out an involuntary sob. And then it was like, okay, chase him, because he was going fast. So then you just swim really fast to stay alongside them as long as you can. And then you get back in the boat, and the boat will try and, drive a little ways out to catch up with them again. And then you jump in again and try and, swim by them. And it's just like such a privilege and a pleasure to, I don't know, there's this entire other plane to our Earth that we are so disconnected from. And to have the glimpse into that, underwater life is I don't know. It is truly otherworldly, and to me, it's like the high and adrenaline rush like no other. Our cameraman was terrified, but did it, and there were, I think. The director, who's my mom, was terrified but did it, and the PA was terrified but did it, and I was like, "I'll go again! I love it!" So, yeah, it was really special. And then the next day, we went into town, and there's this jewelry shop on Holbox called Noah, and it's named after the woman that works there, and she is an American transplant who fell in love with an islander, one of the there's like 5 founding families of Holbox, and of course, on island life, everybody's related. But he's one of the original members of the original Holbox community, and generations ago, and they fell in love, and she moved her life and lives on Holbox and has children and has raised children there, and began this opened this jewelry shop, and she does beautiful casting gold, but then she also does this little whale shark necklace that I bought and wear every day to remember this magical experience I had.
So let's talk about what must have been another magical experience. You were on the beach in Holbox at sunset eating ceviche. What was that like?
Yeah, top food experience in life for sure. There are 2 foods in life that I will just never, ever get sick of, and that is Greek salad and ceviche. I could eat it every day for the rest of my life and be so happy. So on our Hydra and Greece episode and our Holbox episode, it was like, this is my exact food wheelhouse. I would never tire of this meal. They catch fresh, delicious whitefish that morning, and we had it every day, but the 2 special times were, we went on a boat ride and we went to go see the flamingos, because Holbox has this gorgeous, very low, shallow bays, and flamingos come and they, rest there. And so we got to go see the flamingos and kind of be in their water with them. And that was otherworldly as well. And then they took us to this tiny island off of Holbox, an even tinier island. And, they made the ceviche on the boat. They brought limes, they brought jalapenos, they brought cucumber and, the ingredients, and lemon and salt. And they, made the ceviche on the boat, and they served it to us on the island with fresh coconuts that they had fallen from the trees, and chips and Coca-Cola. And it was just like the most blissful meal on a hot day. Some just kind of barely spicy ceviche. My mouth is watering talking about this. With with the juicy fish, it's that was extraordinary. And then another day on the island, we had chefs come and teach us how to make ceviche, teach me how to make ceviche on the beach, in the sand. So toes in the sand, getting to eat the fruits of our labor was, top eating experience for sure.
You also went to Hydra on this season, and I'm fascinated by Greece. A lot of our friends here in Portugal have gone to Greece a few times and really enjoyed it. I've been reluctant simply because I see all these people going to places like Santorini, and it seems so touristed and overcrowded, and that's really not my scene. I'm wondering, you went to Hydra. Is that a good alternative to Santorini for folks who want to avoid this crush of people?
I have not been to Santorini precisely for that reason. Everyone says it's like more tourists than, locals. And it's just an overwhelming sense of, over touristed area. If I were to speak from the Facebook Hydra page that I'm on, of basically people that love Hydra, just come and talk about it every day. If I were to speak from any of their perspectives, it's no, don't come to Hydra, because they want to preserve this incredible slice of paradise.
Right.
But because I am, I am who I am, I'm a travel host, I cannot encourage people to go there enough in a respectful manner, of course. It is, to me, the definition of paradise. We went for our very first episode, our pilot episode we shot there 15 years ago, and I have not stopped thinking about it a single day since. It's been on my mind every day. I've told my husband a million times how much I want to take him someday, but then we had kids, and it was like, okay, well, when the kids are old enough, we'll go. And then we had the idea to, let's go back for a final episode of Islands Without Cars. Let's return to the place where we began this show and see how the island has changed in 15 years. Has tourism altered the island? Has globalism affected, the feeling and texture of the place? And I stepped off the ferry and kind of the same thing with the whale shark, a sob caught in my throat. And it's like, oh my God, this is the exact panoramic view of this port that I have thought of every day for 15 years. And it's still here and it still looks untouched and perfect and just as beautiful, as it's lived in my memory all this time. And it, it's just one of the most extraordinarily beautiful places, and they've done a really beautiful job of protecting it. They don't even allow bicycles if you're over age 8. There is one garbage truck to collect the garbage on the island, and that's it. Everyone gets around by horse or donkey or foot, and it's a climb. Like there are hard hikes on this. Obviously, if you're going up to the monastery at the top of the island, that's hours of a day, and it's good. It feels so good when you get to the top in that Greek heat to have like truly climbed for hours and to be rewarded with views of the ocean that Odysseus himself was rewarded with years ago. So it's just one of the most stunningly beautiful places. And yes, it has been developed some. And yes, there's a new generation of people that have come to appreciate it. And yes, there are boats, yachts and ferries that dump off hundreds of tourists at certain times every day in the summer. It's like, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. and maybe one more in the afternoon. But they come off the island. A lot of them just shop in the port and go home and then get back on the ferry. That's not the way to see Hydra. The way to see Hydra is to stay there you want to stay for at least 3-4 days. I could stay there for 2 weeks, happily, 3 weeks. I could live there. In fact, my mom, who is the, writer, producer, director of this series, and we work on this together, she stayed there for a month after we first filmed. She's like, I got to get back there. It really did have this siren call towards us.
Wow.
And it's undeniable how beautiful it is. So you stay for a few days, you eat, and every restaurant is just delicious. And the food has gotten even more extraordinary in the interim since we've been gone. I mean, really like stellar quality cuisine has come there. And you walk to one of the 3, major beaches every day. And it's a long, good walk. It's like a, 30, 45, sometimes an hour walk to the far beach, or you can take a water taxi. And it's a beautiful walk along, this, cobblestone walk right along the coastline. And
Wow.
you swim and you snorkel and you read your book and, you look at all the Greeks sunning and smoking their cigarettes, and you order a Greek salad and French fries to your chair, and it's bliss. It's total bliss.
You mentioned the Greek salad, and I just imagine the feta cheese being amazing. Were there any other food experiences that you had while you were there that were particularly memorable?
I don't eat meat anymore. I gave up meat about 6 years ago, and I don't miss it, but I do eat fish, obviously, and I love fish. So, there's nothing like island fish. They just do it so well. It's all freshly caught. It's simple. Greek cuisine is quite simply prepared. There's a lovely little bakery there that specializes in almond pastries. So he was so friendly. It's this, his grandmother opened it, years and years ago, and then the father took over, and now the grandson has taken over, and he taught me, how to make this almond pastry, and he helped me. I at the end helped decorate it with powdered sugar at the end, and that's like a lovely little island specialty. Obviously, just the magic of an aperitif before dinner at sunset, looking out over the ocean, having a spritz or some kind of cocktail. Yeah, but funnily enough, it's really just the Greek salads that I can recall, because I ate one for 2 meals a day for about 10 days.
I was going to say I could live off of Greek salad, almond pastries, and aperitivo.
Yes, yes, that is
I'd be perfectly
Why do
satisfied.
you think they live so long? Yeah.
Let's jump to Santa Catalina Island. That's off the coast of Los Angeles.
Mhm.
And you're from Chicago. My
Yes.
family's from Chicago. And there are Chicago ties to Santa Catalina Island to Chicago. Talk about those a little bit.
Yeah, so it's where they brought the Cubs to do spring training. Wrigley of Wrigley Gum basically, kind of, I don't say found this island, but he definitely developed the island and created an enormous mansion there in homage to his wife. And it's this beautiful house up in the hills. that you can see from the port. And he really wanted to make this a destination, not only for Hollywood types to come because it's so close to Los Angeles, but also for Chicagoans. And so he brought the Cubs to do spring training, and that's sort of where the Chicago connection came from. So Chicago and Catalina has a really nice connection. And so there's, the old country club, and they've got, guys who know all the old baseball tales. Of course, it's sort of lost on me because while I did grow up a half a block from Wrigley Field, and I did used to sell advice to Cubs fans growing up, that was my summer gig. I just set up a little table in front of my house, and I would advice 50 cents, and I was, 7, 8 years old. And I just talked to all the drunk Cubs fans who would swim past my house drunkenly on the way to or from games. And they were drunk, so they'd throw down not 50 cents, but $5, $10, $20 bills at me. And so I made a good living as a child in the shadow of Wrigley Field. Do I care about baseball? No. Do I know anything about it? No, I don't. So can I speak with you about that today? Not particularly, but I do know that they brought the Cubs to Catalina, and that's kind of where the Chicago connection came from.
And celebrities loved hanging there as well, I guess,
Yeah.
because it was so beautiful, but maybe to get away from the limelight of Los Angeles as well, I would
Exactly.
imagine.
Yeah. Yeah. Marilyn Monroe lived there with her first husband for a time. That's a big claim to fame. They've got this incredible museum that is, you know, whether or not you're a history lover, it's great because it's great Hollywood history. So it's very well done, this museum in town. And they, talk about the history of Catalina, but also all the celebs that have kind of come through there through the years. And the Rat Pack adored it, and made it kind of the second base for them. And yeah, it's this little, little slice of paradise kind of just off the coast of Los Angeles.
Did you have any memorable food experiences on Santa Catalina?
You know, I wouldn't say the food there is what you go for, but the really memorable experience I had was the catching of the fish that's served there. So a man that owned two of the restaurants in town took us on his boat, and he took us to hunt swordfish, which is a very popular dish on the island. And that was a really intense experience. It actually put us all off of swordfish for quite a while because it was, I mean, they are whale-like. I mean, they are enormous creatures, and they only hunt them by harpoon. They do it in the old way because they feel that it's more fair. It takes a sense of skill to capture them. But yeah, we were out there for quite a while. They have a professional, the captain of the boat, finds where the swordfish is swimming. Then they have this really long, I don't even know what you call it. Like you could walk on it, like a balustrade maybe, made of metal. And from there, the harpoon is sent. So, and then once they're harpooned, they don't die right away. So you follow them for
Hmm.
miles, really. And then you bring them up, or the boat brings them up, and then, then gory things ensue. But to watch this sort of like king of the sea be thrashing around on the boat deck with its sword, the actual sword aspect of the swordfish was basically as long as its body. I mean, huge, probably 6 feet long. Just the sword, and to have it like watch it knocking against the deck while it struggled for its life was really emotional. Really, really sad. So after that, I mean, it's just I'm not made of that strong stuff. That's why I don't eat meat. Is I know if I had to hunt it, I would not be able to. And so I don't eat it because I wouldn't be able to take part in that. So with fishing, it's a little bit different, but swordfish, that's a king of the sea. It's a real magical beast. So that was a tough one. And we all then went to lunch and saw how they really do bring it, not farm to table, but sea to table. And one swordfish provides something like 250 dishes for the restaurant. I mean, because they're massive, and it really is an economical way of serving the island. But yeah, none of us ordered the swordfish that day.
Right, right. Wow.
Yeah.
Where else did you go during this season, Kira? What other islands did you visit?
Well, so this one was a tough one because it was COVID. So we were stalled for quite a long time. This season we did Fire Island, Catalina. Then we had two that were sort of clip shows because we were stuck in our homes and couldn't travel, and fearful of what could happen if we did travel. And so we did a transportation show where we highlighted aspects of, how transportation makes these islands difficult to get to, special to live on because of a lack of transportation, how kind of the ins and outs of how we made this show, on a show that's about islands that prohibits transport, but we're also transporting tons of gear. So kind of like a look into that aspect of our making of the series. And then we did a special look back at this food, our favorite food, stories of this series. And then we did Holbox and Hydra, and that's our six. So
So tell me a little bit about Fire Island. That's off the coast of New York, right?
yes, yeah. Famed as a gay getaway, a weekend gay getaway, and we did go on the most deliciously gay weekend imaginable. We went for the invasion of the Pines. So a story goes that sometime in the 70s, there's a couple rivaling islands, and the Fire Island was always kind of the one that was more free-spirited, less wealthy, more gay, and and then oh my gosh, I'm forgetting the name of the island they went. Oh, the Pines. It was called the Pines. And so they go to, sorry, I might be messing this up. It might be actually just one aspect of this one long island. Like there's different neighborhoods on the island. I think that's what it is. The Pines is a neighborhood of Fire Island, and then Cherry Grove is like the more free, kind of artsy one. Anyway, so this couple in drag went to the Pines for dinner, and they were told to leave. And um, they were so upset about it that I don't remember now. I'm sorry, I should have looked up the story before we talked. It was either the next day or the next year, but they called it the invasion of the Pines, where a group of people in drag basically went and said, "You have to serve us. How dare you turn us away? We're here. We're proud. No matter what we are, what kind of gender we're presenting, you should serve us. You don't get to say no." And so then it became,
Right.
okay, yes, of course, come in. That was a mistake. We were being snotty. Of course, you're welcome here. And so now every single year they do this it becomes bigger and bigger every year. It's called the Invasion of the Pines. And it's led by a drag artist who was at the original Invasion of the Pines. And so she's been doing this for 50 years, I suppose, 40 years, something like that. And yeah, that now they basically like have this huge ferry where everyone dresses in drag, and there's, huge groups of themed drag parties. We were on the British invasion. We got caught up with them. So, Elton John, the Rolling Stones, whatever, and the
Right.
Queen, and they go, and there's this huge performance, and as the boat pulls in to the Pines, there's, I mean, thousands of people cheering. I mean, it felt like what it must have felt like to, be Kate Middleton, Prince William, Prince Charles coming into any port, in any of their royal visits. But it was extraordinary, like crazy cheering, crazy amounts of people. And they did a show. There's a whole song and dance, and there's music, and there's DJs, and, there's a whole catwalk situation. And it was a huge party, like a huge midday, hot, sunny party. And then the rest of the day, it's like dance party. So
Right.
there's a drag queen that's announced every year. There's a competition of drag queen competitions, and then one of them is, announced the winner. And it was a really special experience. So that was an extraordinary. And we had great inner access because we were filming it. So we got to be, on the boat with everyone coming in, and we got some really great fun footage of that. So that's a really fun event. I would encourage anyone to go to if they live, on the East Coast or not. And yeah, Fire Island's it's a fun place. It's a party place. So you go, there's all these Broadway stars because it's close to New York, come on one night a week. And we got to see, this woman who played Roxy Hart in Chicago and on Broadway. And she came and she did a little set, at the I think it's called the Ice Palace, in Cherry Grove. And they have they because it's so close to New York City, they've got great access to these people. So DJs come in, and they've got great gay drag bingo, and it's kind of a nonstop party in Cherry Grove. And then there's other kind of more family friendly, quote unquote, i.e., slower ice cream, boardwalk, beach kind of situations in the other parts of the island.
I know that season 3 just came out, but I'm wondering in closing, do you have any plans for a season 4 of Islands Without Cars?
You know, I think Islands Without Cars is being put to bed, but we are actually gearing up to do another. We had 88% market share, which is kind of unheard of for the season 3. Like almost every, PBS station across the nation wants to show it. So that's really exciting, and it shows kind of how popular the idea of this show is and how people really want to get out of their cars and really want to get into smaller communities again. And so the producers had this idea to go to the Lisdoonvarna Festival in Ireland, and it's a matchmaking festival. And this guy has been doing it for years. And so we're going in September to film this festival in Ireland, and then we're going to come back a year later to see who's been matched up and are they still in love and did it work?
Right. Wow.
So we're still going to be all working together, the same crew, same team. I think we're just kind of shifting the themes of our storytelling.
I love that idea. That sounds so much fun, and I love the follow-up on that too.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really excited about it. I'm really looking forward to it. It's just like this big sort of love festival of people who, that area of Ireland and the west of Ireland is very desolate, and there's lots of farmers who are lonely. And so it started as a way for this guy to help these farmers meet women, have them come in from the big city and meet people and fall in love. And it's grown and grown and grown. And now it's this kind of major attraction every September in County Clare. So we're going to be heading there to check it out.
Well, we'll look for that. Kira
you.
Cook, I'm so happy that the 3rd season of Islands Without Cars is out now. Nice work on that.
Thank you.
And I just want to say thank you so much for being on the show. It's been great catching up with you. Been great talking to you today.
Thanks so much, Brent. Great to talk with you too.
Okay, that's the wonderful Kira Cook. Season 3 of Islands Without Cars is airing on PBS now. Check your local listings. I've also got a link in the show notes. Well, that's it for this week. Next week, it's all about pizza in New York City. Don't miss that. Until then, get over to destinationeatdrink.com. I just posted a brand new video. It's about some of the best places to eat and the coolest things to see in Seville, Spain. You can see that by clicking on the video tab at destinationeatdrink.com or by going to my YouTube channel at Destination Eat Drink 946. There's also a brand new story on the site. It's about the Tabancos in Jerez, Spain. These are the bars where you go to get a glass of sherry and watch a flamenco performance. I posted about some of my favorites. That's at destinationeatdrink.com/blog. And if you enjoyed the show, please consider a one-time or recurring gift to Destination Eat Drink in any amount at buymeacoffee.com/destinationeatdrink. And thank you very much. Destination Eat Drink is distributed by the Radio Misfits Podcast Network and Ed Silla. Thanks, Ed. I'm Brent Peterson. I'll see you down the road.
Join us next week for another culinary adventure on Destination Eat Drink, a presentation of the Radio Misfits Podcast Network.